Gam Heim. It's from Shabbos Parshas Nosoi, Tes Sivon Tavshin Chov Gimel. I think it's a mimer that they just uncovered. It just came out. Nosoi is Rosh B'nai Gershom Gam Heim. Count the heads of the B'nai Gershom, also them. Madaik, which is Marich Hamad Mur be Mamor Dibra Maskal Zeh. Hemshach Hagashvus Tavshin Dalad. My father-in-law, the Frierdiker Rebbe, he analyzes in his mimer of this Hemshach of Chagashvus. He has a mimer, series of Mamorim. So this mimer is the Nosoi mimer of the year Tavshin Dalad. In Shloisha Batei Avos B'Shevet Levi, the three heads of families, or the three family houses in the Shevet Levi, Gershon, Kos, Umerari, are the sons of the family of Gershon and Kos and Merari. In this order, first Gershon, then Kos, then Merari. That's how they are, when they are counted, about how the children were counted from a month old. As we know in Shevet Levi, the children were counted already from a month old, like we had in Parshas Bamidbar. So, but there it says when they were counted at a month old, it's counted Gershon, Kos, and Merari according to how they were born. But in the count of 30 years old, that was when they went into the service. That is the order of their service. Shina Kosev Sidram, the Torah changed the order of how they counted them. First he said Kahos, then Gershon and Merari. When you understand why did their order of being enumerated change in the second count, meaning when they were counted for their avodah, then the first count, when they were counted when they were born, when they were a month old. In truth, it's not just a difference that in the second count, instead of Bnei Gershom being the first, and they were the firstborn, they were now in second place. That's not the only difference, but there's another difference in the count when they are counted in our parsha according to their avodah. Additionally, they are ancillary, they are auxiliary to the family of Kahos when it comes to Nosoyas Rosh, to the idea of raising up. The Mikri Moli de Barakosov, it's an open pasuk, Nosoyas Rosh B'nai Gershom Gam Heim. It's not just that they're second in order, they're also qualitatively second because it adds the appellation also them. The mashma that indicates the ikrin al Nesias Rosh B'nai Kos, the main idea of the Nesias Rosh is in the Kahos family. Al B'nai Gershon, the family of Gershon, in Gam Heim Nesias Rosh. Also they counted or raised the heads, etc. Medrash Rabbi Isam, the Medrash Rabbi is brought down to explain why the Bnei Gershon were counted second. Loish Bnei Gershon Chusum Bnei Kahos, not that the Gershon family is somehow lesser than the family of Kahos, Bnei Kavod Torah, but because of the honor of the Torah, that the Bnei Kahos were the ones that carried the Luchos and the Aron, so they were representing the Torah, so therefore they were first to be counted, but not Bnei Gershon is any less. So the Rebbe says, when you understand, what's the idea of the Nesias Rosh? Literally the raising of the head, and also the connection of the Nesias Rosh to the kavod of the Torah, that because of the kavod of the Torah, they will have the Nesias Rosh be the primary Nesias Rosh, and Bnei Gershom will only be also ran, Gamhe. This will be understood by prefacing the general idea of the Shevet of Levi. Shenikra came. Why is Levi called Levi? Al Shem Yilove Ishi Alai, because now that Leah said that my husband will now be with me, will escort me, will be together with me. Shaloshn is Chabrus. It's an expression of joining. Va'adli is Chabrus the B'chinas Levios, until the type of joining that we say concerning when Mashiach is going to come, there's going to be the idea of the Sudas Leviasan, the Shagam Hu Lashon is Chabrus. The Leviasan is also from the word Levia, meaning togetherness and joining. Like it's explained, look at the Torah on the by the Maimer titled by this pasuk. Leviasan is referring to those tzaddikim from the concealed worlds. Because they are in the level of the concealed worlds, their avodah is in the spiritual realms. They create and they're focused on making unions and matings of levels above. And their level is higher than the tzaddikim that are called the level of the shoyer habar, the ox that will be served when Mashiach comes. Is that those tzaddikim, their avodah is in the material and physical things. Bekim mitzvahs maisis, of fulfilling mitzvahs in action. Does that mean that somehow they're not refined, etc.? Though also the level of this shoyer habar, the wild ox, is also in a level of refinement. Shari bar hu meloshain bar levov. The word bar, even though the external meaning is shoyer bar, means the one, the outside, and the wild, etc. But bar means from the word pure of heart, pirish basar zach, a purified flesh. So therefore, even those tzaddikim that are involved with Gashmis, even those tzaddikim that are from Almadiz Galia, from the revealed worlds, we're talking about very refined levels. Alpha became Milsa is still in all, it's a minor matter. In comparison to the union of the tzaddikim that are called, or on the level of Liyasan, that's much deeper. Next page, Nemaimer, Protis Yoiser, more specifically, Yesh B'Shevet Levi Gufa Shlosha Bate Ovis. In the tribe of Levi itself, there's 3 families. So this is Levi B'Chlal. Levi is the idea of joining, but this itself breaks down into 3. Gershon, Kos, and Merari. Gershon, Kos, and Merari are the 3 houses, the 3 families. Vinyan Ba'avoida, the idea in the Avoida is Kimavur Ba'Maimer, like explained in that Maimer, the Friedrich Rebbe from Tavshin Daled. When a person comes to approach to the holy, to join holiness, and to become cleaving in godliness, which is Leviasan. He wants to be together, he wants to be joined. And now the Rebbe brings in something that the Rebbe always likes to bring about the Rambam. To note from what the Rambam wrote, it's not only the Shevet of Levi that can serve Hashem and feel close to Hashem. Every single inhabitant of this world, that his spirit gave of him, and his knowledge made him understand, to separate himself, to stand before Hashem, to serve Hashem, to know Hashem, etc. So then this person, this individual that decided to do this, he becomes sanctified, the level of Holy of Holies. It'll become given to him, and he will become merited. Just like Hashem gave to the Kohanim Levim that closeness, he can also, by his own choice, merit that Hashem should give him that closeness as well. Now the Rebbe adds, if so, what's the difference in an ordinary Jew and a person that chooses to be like a Levi in his attitude, etc.? He says the difference is by the tribe of Levi, it's an established way. It's a set way. It's not something that a person can turn on or off or decide, I'm in the mood of this today, I'm not in the mood of this. Therefore, they are given from within the Bnei Yisrael, that regardless what any other Yid does, they fulfill the obligation on behalf of a whole Klal Yisrael in this matter. But it doesn't mean it's exclusive or exclusionary. So be that as it may, so those that want to be close to Hashem, there are three paths of service in refining himself, in purifying himself. The three paths are denoted by the three families, Gershon, Kosim, Merodi. Gershon, at the beginning of the person's service, that's Gershon. Gershon is from the word Gorish, chase out, kick out. The Garish is a Rasha boy, to chase out the bad that's within him. Gam hadak b'yoser, even the most the most refined type of bad, the most subtle bad. Included in this is also things that he has by habit. We're not even talking about not good habits. Even if he doesn't have habits that are prohibited things, but it's just things that he's accustomed to do, that's not considered a good thing. So they're not good. Obviously, that is something that falls under the rubric of Gershon. To chase them out, you need to refine them. Even good habits, since they are out of birth, they are something that the person has naturally. Could be he's just a good-natured person by birth, and therefore he takes care of other people, he does tzedakah and chesed and so on. Or it could be not actually from birth, but still out of habit. Both if they're because of education and upbringing. It's not as a result of the person's avoida. One needs to refine them. Every matter, even a good trait, and even a good thing that one does, has to be as a result of one's person's service. This is similar to what the Rebbe brings down in Kunst in Yonash Teres Chassidus. Excuse me. That a person that Chassidus came Lashanis Tivius Midoisov. The Chassidus came not to change Midoisov Hativim, the person's natural traits, which are not good, but even the traits that are good, the natural component of it, that he does it because of his own nature, he has to change it. The Rebbe brings in the brackets, like it's known, the phrase that the Alter Rebbe said in Yechidus to one of the Chassidim, someone whose service is out of habit, it's like an animal that's in the barn. In other words, you could have, a person could be very proud of himself and say, I'm a very good-hearted person, and I help people, and I do chesed, and I give tzedakah, and so on. But if it's out of nature, how is he any different than an animal? There are animals that by nature are cruel, and they're carnivores, and they attack other animals. Then there's peaceful animals. They'll sit quietly in the barn. They'll never attack anybody, but it's still an animal. Therefore, because of that, since we are human beings, and the Eibusher gave us a brain, the Alter Rebbe said over there, and the brain is supposed to rule over the heart. Therefore, also the good emotional traits also has to be done out of avoida, out of working on oneself, not just because naturally or by education, by habit, I'm good-hearted. So that's Gershon, getting rid of all negative and even those things that have to do with I'm doing it out of nature, that is natural to me. Afterwards has to be the avoid of kahos, shumaloshin asifa v'kibbutz. Kahos is also from the word of gathering and collecting, like it says in the pasuk, v'lo yikhas amim, that to him the nations were collect and gather. What does that mean in avoidam? Asifus koiches nafshi, the gathering of his soul powers, l'shabdam lalakus ba'avodah Torah mitzvahs, to sublimate them to godliness, in the avoid of Torah mitzvahs. So a person needs to make sure to use all of his soul powers and direct them towards the mission that he's supposed to do. After all of this has to be the avoid of merori, shuin hamariris, the idea of bitterness. Where does bitterness fit in? He got rid of all of his negativity. He's focusing all of his energies on positive. Where does bitterness come in? So he says, it's the feeling that he still did not become as close to godliness as necessary. Behind this means, even after he has the avoid of Gershon, to chase away even the most sublime and subtle bad, and to get rid of even his good habits. To do it not because of his habit, but just because of his intellect and avoidam. And after avoided the kahos, less of koiches nafshi, he gathers and collects all of his soul powers. He shouldn't say, well, I did it, I completed all my avodah. He needs to know he still did not become close to godliness in the ultimate way, to such a degree that he has to feel bitter and upset that he's still not close enough to Hashem. So that explains why, when we talk about the birth order, first comes Gershon, then comes Kahos, then comes Merari. Now the Rebbe says in the last paragraph that in the Maimer of the Frierdiker Rebbe, it doesn't explain why at 30 years old, when they counted him for the Avodah, the order is different. He only explained about the order, the birth order. So the Rebbe says in the bottom of the page, we can add and explain the reason. You could say that an account of 30 years and up, that's like the order of the Avodah, Shina, Kosovo, Sidram, the Pasuk changed their order, Kahos, Gershon, and Merari, that first he said Kahos, and then Gershon and Merari. Shatar, it's also in Spanish, had to do a Maimer. The Maimer, the Frierdiker Rebbe, that the Rebbe was bringing from, did not explain this explicitly. It's understood from the setup, from the way the Frierdiker Rebbe set up the matters. From what's explained in the Maimer. That the idea of Gershon is to chase away the bad. The idea of Kahos, top of the fourth page. It's the gathering of the powers to the service in Torah mitzvahs, moving, it's understood. The main thing, the main focus, the main goal, and the purpose is the avoid of Kahos, focusing on Torah mitzvahs. Rather, it's and the idea of Gershon is only a preface to the avodah, it's not the goal. Just like in the general idea of turning away from bad and doing good. The main thing and the goal is the avoid of doing good. The avoid of turning away from bad is only an introduction to doing good. Like it's known, the analogy and metaphor of a human king. They want to make from a beautiful home. First, we have to empty out the palace from any dirt. And then to arrange over there beautiful furniture, etc. So too in a person's service, the idea of turning away from bad, there shouldn't be any dirt, heaven forbid, within him. The idea of doing good is like arranging and putting in nice furniture. Through that there will be a home for Hashem down here below. Moving for this understood. Of the two, the main avoida is the arranging the beautiful furniture, that through that will be a beautiful home. That's the avodah of kahos, that he is gathering all of his koiches and investing it in Torah mitzvahs. But it's necessary to first clear away from all schmutz, from all dirt. Therefore, initially, there has to be the avoid of Gershon, to push away and kick out all the bad. That's why when it comes to the birth order, over there Gershon comes before Kahos. When we're talking about the person as far as the nature from his birth, because since he is at the beginning of his avodah, like the expression of the Maimer, the Frierdiker Rebbe, when the person comes to approach to sanctity and to sanctify himself, so then there's Gershon, get rid of the bad, and then you gather all your powers for good. But when we're speaking about the avodah in the sanctuary itself and holiness itself, initially it says you should count the heads of Bnei Kos. Since that is the primary avodah, avodah the Gershon, as opposed to avodah of Gershon, it's only the necessary introduction, but that's not the goal, it's not the purpose, it's not the main thing. The Maimer, the Frierdiker Rebbe concludes, Bnei Gershon also say the Bnei Gershon carry the Yeriyos. The Yeriyos, the curtains, the coverings, they are encompassing the Mishkan, so they indicate the transcendent encompassing light. The Bnei Kos carry the Aron, the Shulchan, etc. This is similar to what we had in the previous Maimer. The main idea of raising the head, which is to have the revelation of the inner level of Keser, that's in the family of Kahos, the Zeu'inin Kavod HaTorah. Kavod HaTorah, Hushu Pnimius HaKeser, that has to do with the level of the inner level of Keser. Honor has to do with something that's higher than intellect. That's like the Keser that's on top of the head. It looks like the Keser, the crown that gives the person honor. But by the Bnei Gershon, that they are the transcendent light, the level of the external part of Keser, it says also them, because they're not on the higher level like Kahos. The idea behind this is the glory of the Torah that's beyond the Torah itself. It's the revelation of the inner part of the Keser. And in Torah itself, it specifically becomes revealed in the inner part of the Torah. By not Nigla Torah, but Chassidus. Kabbalah, therefore, it's understood how this is connected specifically with the Bnei Kos, which is about the doing good, not the Bnei Gershon that they're sur mara, as opposed to the family of Gershon that's about chasing away the bad. The inner part of the Torah is called the tree of life. The last Hamon Kushim Mesita the Rad, there's no questions that come from the bad side. Still in all it says, raise up the heads of Bnei Gershon, also them. Through the inner part of the Torah, it causes that the level of the raising up of the head, the inner Keser, comes out also in the Chitzonius HaTorah that's connected with the level of Gershon. This idea in our service of Hashem, as it's known, everything needs to be explained and brought down in avoidam, even when we find ourselves in exile. In the state and situation that there's an association with bad. Needs to be the involvement in the inner part of the Torah that's beyond the side of bad. Like it's known, the saying of the Marash that the world thinks that if you can't go below, you go over. But I say we have to go initially over. Through that, there's an additional power and strength in matters of avodah that's beneath it. We can connect this all with the Yom Tov Shavuos that we're just coming from it. It's known the advantage of the Yom Tov Shavuos over Sfiras HaOmer. Sfiras HaOmer hu in bir nefsha bahamis. Sfiras HaOmer is about refining the animal soul. That's why the Omer came from barley, which is animal food, Michael Behema. As opposed to Shavuos that we offer the two breads that's brought from wheat, Michael Adam, human food, Al Shem Adam Elyon, because we are similar to above. It's higher in the refining the animal soul. It's similar to the advantage of Leviathan over the Shoyra Bar. That's a closer connection. Shevet Levi Gufa and Shevet Levi itself, the difference between the bread from wheat or the Omer of Sodom of barley, it's the advantage of the family of Kahas over Bnei Gershon, because Kahas is about the connection with Hashem, whereas the Bnei Gershon is about the Sur Merah.